It amazes me that to convince black people that Donald Trump cares about them.
DL Hughley is out here causing pure chaos and dragging Snoop Dogg right into the middle of it. The same DL who once went off on black artists for showing up at Donald Trump's inauguration.
But part of
back
that
in
is starting off with Snoop Dogg and Nelly and Soulja Boy and others
years later,
for
he
their
pulled up performing at a Trump event himself,
at
and now
events
he's
surrounding
firing
the
back with
inauguration.
heavy shots, calling out Snoop and exposing what he calls the real Snoop Dogg behind the fame and smooth talk. Snoop's name has been buzzing in all the wrong ways lately, and this new drama just poured gasoline on an already burning mess. Ever since that whole Diddy situation exploded, people online have been dissecting every move Snoop makes. Rumors flying left and right claim he's been playing both sides, keeping ties with the streets while allegedly working with the feds. Fans are debating non-stop about whether Snoop's loyalty has ever been real, especially with whispers that he might have even betrayed Tupac back in the day. It doesn't stop there. Just a few days ago, Suge Knight himself came forward, throwing out threats and claiming Snoop's been hiding deep secrets for years. The streets are buzzing, fans are confused, and the whole hip-hop world is watching every update like it's a live movie. People are questioning if Snoop's clean image is just a front, or if DL Hughley really struck a nerve exposing the truth behind the Dogfather's empire. This feud has officially turned ugly, and it's dragging up decades of history that Snoop probably thought was buried for good. Suge Knight is straight up saying that Snoop is the real industry rat who's been out here playing both sides like it's a game. He's not just throwing shade, he's been dropping these hints for years, and now it's starting to sound like he's ready to expose everything. According to Suge, Snoop was never as loyal to Tupac as he made the world believe, and that their so-called brotherhood might have been more of a show than a real bond. Fans are losing their minds over Suge's claims because if what he's suggesting is true, it flips one of hip-hop's most legendary friendships upside down.
Most important thing is there's got to be a solution, because this has been going on in the industry for a whole years, for decades. And at the same time, you know, nobody wants it to be true, and it shouldn't have to be true. But if we don't fix it and do something about it, history will constantly
repeat itself. Now, Suge, you said something early on that I want to get clarification for the audience, Suge. You said early on, you can't just look at Diddy in isolation. You said this was done to him. He learned from others, and it was done to him, and then he did to others. To me, that sounds like what I hear when people are talking about situations, you know, hurt people, that someone was used, they wind up being a perpetrator. Is that what you're suggesting about Sean Combs, that he was used and he now uses?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think
he's been saying that while Pac was riding for the streets, Snoop was quietly keeping ties with the very people Pac was going against. Suge's words hit hard because he was right there in the middle of it all. So when he speaks, everyone listens. The drama's boiling, and it's got people wondering who Snoop was really loyal to back then. Suge Knight didn't stop there. He went even harder, calling Snoop out for flat-out lying about what really went down after Tupac was shot. Snoop has always told the story that he tried to visit Pac in the hospital but got kicked out by security. Well, Suge just blew that story wide open. He's claiming that Snoop never even showed up to the hospital that night, saying the whole thing was just another made-up tale to make himself look loyal in front of the cameras. That revelation sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community, because for years people believed Snoop was heartbroken over Pac's death. But now, with Suge's version of events, fans are starting to question everything. Was Snoop just keeping up appearances while distancing himself from the chaos behind the scenes? It's a serious accusation that paints a whole different picture of how things really went down in those last days. And if that wasn't enough, Snoop's recent moves have only made people more suspicious. He, along with Nelly and Rick Ross, hit the stage at one of Donald Trump's inaugural balls, and fans were not having it.
Right about him, by putting him on All Eyes on Me, speaking about him and being real with him. And if it's true what they say,
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Face-to-face is going to be a lot of explaining to do. Only way you have a radio if you was at the fight with us and you had a security detail.
Introducing the one and only
Now, not having a security detail,
Mike Tyson.
what are you doing with the radio?
Social media exploded with comments dragging them for performing at the event, calling it fake, confusing, and disappointing. Many questioned how they could show up for a man whose fan base barely even listens to their music. The backlash was instant, and people started accusing Snoop of chasing clout instead of standing by his principles. The entire situation has turned into a storm of betrayal claims, political shade, and a lot of unanswered questions about who Snoop Dogg really is behind that smooth, laid-back image. But Nelly wasn't backing down one bit. When the internet started flaming him for performing at Trump's event, he stood tall and made his stance crystal clear. During a talk with rapper Willie D, Nelly fired back saying, "I'm not doing this for the money, it's an honor. I respect the office, period." He doubled down, explaining that it's not about who's in power, but about respecting the position itself. Nelly even went as far as to say he'd perform for President Biden or Vice President Kamala Harris if they ever asked, showing he wasn't picking sides, just standing on business. But that's when things got real messy. DL Hughley jumped right into the conversation, and let's just say he didn't hold anything back. He made it clear he wasn't about to let these artists get away with what he saw as hypocrisy. Taking straight to Instagram, DL posted a fiery message aimed directly at Nelly, writing, "Trump propping up white supremacy isn't just his past, Nelly. It's who he still is today." That one post blew up across social media within minutes. Fans started choosing sides instantly, some defending Nelly for being professional, while others praised DL for speaking out against what they saw as selling out. The tension skyrocketed online, with people arguing over whether it was about music, morals, or money. This wasn't just celebrity drama anymore. It turned into a full-blown cultural debate about loyalty, respect, and where hip-hop stands in the political spotlight. DL Hughley didn't just stop with Nelly. He came for Snoop Dogg too, and he did it in the most brutal way possible. He reposted a 2017 clip where Snoop himself was roasting black artists for performing for Trump, throwing serious shade back then. In that old video, Snoop straight up said, "Which one of you Uncle Tom ninjas is gonna do it?" mocking anyone who even thought about taking that stage. But now, years later, the tables have completely turned, and DL made sure everyone saw it. Fast forward to today, and there's Snoop performing at the very type of event he once trashed. The internet exploded with reactions, calling out the hypocrisy and clowning Snoop for doing the exact thing he ridiculed others for. People were in disbelief, saying the whole situation feels embarrassing and fake.
Repeat what was done to him. And like I said, if you look at Russell Simmons, you know the truth. Andre Rell, you know the truth. Brian Davis, you know the truth. Jimmy Iovine, you know the truth. So there's not certain things that all of a sudden you got this. The industry is a quick business. It's been like that for a long time. And the casting couch is real, but it's for women and men. But far from all that, I think the most important thing is I feel like they should let Puffy tell his truth. I'm quite sure he's going to expose a lot of people. I'm sure he's going to move forward with it. But I don't think it should be a situation like the Epstein thing where they found him hanging from the ceiling or dead before the truth come out.
DL's repost hit hard because it wasn't just a throwback. It was a mirror showing how much Snoop's narrative has changed. Fans flooded the comments with words like irony and cringe, saying Snoop's move just doesn't sit right. Even longtime supporters are confused, wondering what made him switch up like that. DL didn't have to say much. Just that one repost was enough to make the entire hip-hop world start questioning if Snoop's principles were ever real or just part of the show. Of course, once that old clip made its way back online, the internet absolutely lit Snoop up. Fans were not holding back. They went in on him hard, calling Snoop the biggest industry buster to ever come out of the West Coast. Some even went as far as saying, the whole Southern California knows Snoop's the king of switch-ups. The comment sections were brutal. People accused him of completely contradicting his own words, calling his Trump performance one of the most hypocritical moves in hip-hop history. One social media user even joked. He puffed up his chest and said, "Yes, sir, I'll dance for you, sir," mocking Snoop's appearance at the event and turning it into a viral meme overnight. But here's the wild part. DL Hughley has been consistently calling out this kind of behavior for years. This isn't new territory for him. Back in 2017, when comedian Steve Harvey visited Trump Tower and announced he'd be working with Ben Carson, DL went off. He didn't just drop a casual opinion, he unleashed a full rant on social media saying, "It amazes me that to convince black people Donald Trump cares about them, he takes pictures with celebrities." He followed that up with another sharp line. If Donald Trump cared about black people, he wouldn't have denigrated President Obama with those birtherism claims, and he wouldn't have stoked racist fears. And he wasn't done yet. DL went even deeper, questioning why Trump always turned to rappers, comedians, and athletes to speak on behalf of the black community instead of actual leaders or activists. That statement alone set social media on fire back then. And now that Snoop's performance has surfaced, it's like DL's old words are coming back full circle. Fans are saying DL warned everyone years ago, and now it's playing out exactly the way he said it would. The whole situation feels like deja vu, but this time, Snoop's the one caught in the middle of the storm.
Performing, it's a private vibe I'm doing with my brother Snoop Dogg.
1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the dope, ready to make an entrance.
DL Hughley didn't bite his tongue back then. He hit hard, saying, "You'd rather see us run the ball than run the country." That line shook the internet because it summed up exactly what he felt about how Trump's team was using celebrity faces for political gain. DL's message was loud and clear. He wasn't buying those staged photo ops, and he definitely wasn't about to stay quiet about it either. Now fast forward to the present, and it feels like history's playing on repeat. The same kind of controversy is back again, but this time it's Snoop, Nelly, and Rick Ross right in the center of the storm. Fans are asking the same question everyone's been whispering. Why did they even take that stage in the first place? What made 3 of hip-hop's biggest names show up at a Trump event after everything that's been said? Well, DL Hughley had some theories, and he didn't hold back. He said, plain and simple, it's all about power. According to DL, Trump's team was strategic, picking performers who wouldn't make the audience uncomfortable or scare the white folks. He even called out the event itself, pointing out how there were barely any black faces in the crowd. Then he hit everyone with one of the coldest lines yet, saying, "Some of us were in the house, while most of us were still in the fields." That statement sent chills through social media because it wasn't just shade, it was a full-blown reality check. DL was reminding everyone that the optics of that night said more than the music ever could. It wasn't just about entertainment, it was about who gets chosen to stand beside power and who gets left watching from the sidelines.
Ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo is gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast one of you Uncle Tom is for doing it.
DL Hughley also dropped another bombshell, suggesting that this whole thing was nothing but a power flex for Donald Trump. According to him, Trump wanted to prove he could take someone like Snoop Dogg, who once clowned him publicly, and make him switch sides for the world to see. DL basically said it's Trump's way of saying, look, I can make your heroes bow down, and let's be honest, it's not a good look at all. Fans were quick to point out that it's one thing to perform, but another to perform for someone you once ridiculed so harshly. The optics are wild, and the internet isn't letting it slide. DL didn't stop there either. He called attention to who didn't get invited this time around. He mentioned rappers like Waka Flocka, Kodak Black, and Lil Pump, guys who were once front and center for Trump's public image during his earlier campaigns. But DL pointed out something sharp. Trump didn't call them back because, as DL put it, they already served their purpose. They made noise, stirred up controversy, and gave him headlines. But they don't move the culture like they used to. DL's point hit deep. He was basically saying Trump knows exactly who to use and when. Once the hype dies down, he trades one set of rappers for another, all for the sake of attention and control. It's political chess at its finest. And this time, Snoop, Nelly, and Ross might have been just another strategic move in Trump's playbook. Instead of bringing back the usual loud and wild names, Trump went for artists like Snoop, someone whose presence alone would shake the room and make headlines across the world. And let's be real, it worked. The internet went crazy the moment that footage dropped, and the memes started flying instantly. Social media stayed undefeated with some seriously savage takes that cut deep. One user didn't hold back, writing, "Like DMX said, they sold their souls to the devil and the price was cheap." Another fan chimed in saying, after Snoop's big Olympic appearance, he thought he was untouchable and the love was unconditional. Wrong! That comment hit home for a lot of people who once saw Snoop as the cool, untouchable legend that could do no wrong. But now, fans are flipping the narrative, saying fame might have gotten to his head. Then came the wildest claim of all. Someone boldly wrote, "Snoop's gotta be the informant." Anyone notice how much play he's been getting in Hollywood lately? Commercials, random brand deals, carrying the Olympic torch? Come on! The internet lit up with that theory, And while it's pure speculation, it shows how deep the mistrust runs. Fans are convinced there's something off about how much corporate love Snoop's been getting lately, especially now that he's back in the political spotlight. It's almost like people can't decide whether he's being celebrated or used. And that confusion is what's keeping this story alive. Every new clip, every comment, and every theory just adds another layer to the drama, and everyone's watching to see how or if Snoop responds to the growing noise. Social media turned into a battlefield after that performance, with people dissecting every move Snoop made like it was a political statement instead of just a show. Some fans said his decision to perform proved how fame changes people once the spotlight gets too bright, while others claimed it was all just business. Nothing personal, just strategy. But what really fueled the outrage was how quickly Snoop seemed to shift from dissing Trump to entertaining his crowd like nothing ever happened. People started pulling up old interviews, old lyrics, and even past tweets to prove how different his tone used to be, saying this new version of Snoop doesn't match the man who once stood for rebellion and pride. The comments kept rolling in, calling him a sellout, a puppet, and worse, while others defended him, saying he's just playing the game smarter than everyone else. Either way, one thing's for sure. Snoop Dogg's name is back in the headlines, and the conversation around him has never been louder or more divided. And let's talk about this gem right here. DL Hughley wrapped it all up with one final shot that hit like a gut punch. When you get a certain amount of money, you can come up with any excuse to do wrong. But let's be clear, money can't erase history. We will remember this. That line sent chills through the whole internet. People couldn't stop quoting it because it summed up exactly how fans felt. No matter how rich, famous, or respected someone becomes, the culture never forgets when loyalty looks shaky. The comment sections blew up again, full of people saying that Snoop might have gone too far this time, and that no amount of status can clean up the mess his performance stirred. Now the public isn't letting him off the hook anytime soon. It doesn't matter how legendary his career is or how many classics he's dropped, fans are holding him accountable like never before. Everyone's debating the same question. Did Snoop, Nelly, and Rick Ross just fumble their image for a quick check, or was it just business, plain and simple? Some say they sold out for attention, while others argue they're just making moves in a world where politics and entertainment have always mixed. So what do you think? Was this a career slip-up or a strategic power play? And more importantly, do you believe Snoop's been playing both sides all along? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.